time for another Q&A, and this time we're actually opening the questions section for everyone on Patreon. So we have a few $1 level supporters with us as well.
Trusty bananas.
Yeah, which is cool. Yeah.
Lots of good questions. Should we just get right into it?
Yeah.
Well, we can, as we always do, introduce by saying everything is good and it's autumn outside. The leaves are falling. Actually, they're about to fall off now. It's almost done. The beautiful part of autumn, and we're going into the sort of transition to winter.
Yeah.
Where November isn't really that nice in Norway. It's usually cold, rainy, sometimes dark, no leaves.
Yeah, but maybe
it'll be fine. As long as there's no snow, then I'm pretty happy in terms of like running.
Yeah.
So, all right. First question, Matt. Hey, what do you guys think about cutting, shaving head hair and body hair for running gains? Maybe less heat accumulation and more aerodynamic, less weight, etc. Good question. I guess I'll tackle it. The thing here is that these gains, the gains that you can gain, like let's talk about the individual things. First of all, weight gain. Like if you lose a little bit of weight, you will be faster in terms of running, but it is extremely marginal. Like I don't remember the exact numbers right now, but like if I lost 1 kilo of body fat, say, I would be something like, I don't know, 30 seconds faster on a marathon or something like that. So, you could see how if you're Eliud Kipchoge and you have the world record and you want to try and break 2 hours, okay, in that case, everything counts, like every gram counts almost. But hair, to lose, it's an awesome question, and I've thought a lot about it. And I've come to the conclusion that hair, definitely not. In terms of weight, hair is just not worth considering at my level and at the level that I will probably ever be. It's just at the very, very, very upper, and even then it's still really not that much because hair doesn't weigh much.
But you could argue that when you had dreads, and they actually weighed like a kilo,
half a kilo.
Only half.
Yeah, my dreadlocks at the most weighed half a kilo.
Okay.
So,
but then it's more like it might actually kind of disturb your running to a certain degree, and
that's why I was cutting them in the first place, and I think that's part of the reason anyway. So that's more of a good reason, I think. They were just sort of not making me comfortable while I was running, and that might affect your performance way more actually than the actual weight. So when it comes to aerodynamic, again, it is absolutely not important because running, even at the high end of like a 5,000 meter runner speed, even at the high end of aerobic speeds, you're still not running fast enough to make aerodynamics such a big deal. I mean, sure, drag plays a factor. Like if you have someone in front of you and you can draft behind them, that makes a difference at the high end of the spectrum. At the slow end of the spectrum, though, for most of us, it doesn't really even matter that much. But certainly hair will not affect it either. If you're a sprinter, though, it will affect it massively. Like if I was a 100-meter sprinter, I could definitely not have this beard and my hair, because when you're up at that, when you're dealing with milliseconds, that's definitely when hair and aerodynamics matter more. But when you're dealing with seconds and certainly minutes and even hours in ultramarathons, absolutely not. That's absolutely not an issue. I feel like my beard might be a pro in terms of like ultramarathons, intimidating my opposition. Like people are gonna look at me and think like, oh, he's been in the mountains before, that guy. He's a tough component. So when it comes to heat accumulation, though, that was actually one thing that I was considering when I had the dreadlocks. They were in my neck. They were, when I had them bundled up, they were lying in my neck there, on my neck, whatever. And the neck is really important for losing heat. So I feel like I was not able to lose heat effectively. And after I cut them, I feel like that's been improved. In terms of like my beard, I don't feel like that's affecting my heat situation. In the summer now, it's really warm here in Norway, and I was never warm around here. It wasn't an issue. Maybe you could argue that I would lose heat more effectively from my neck.
Yeah, I mean,
If
I
I
remember
cut,
when
like,
I cut
just-
my hair, my beard, it's definitely cooler. And
Mhm.
even now, when I'm in the gym, my moustache area is sweating,
Really?
whereas around here it's not.
Yeah.
So
So maybe that's a good point, but I think for me at this point, I don't consider it that important, and I feel like I love my beard, so I don't want to cut it now. But really good question. Overall answer is not something to really think too much about unless you're a world-class sprinter.
next question is from Elizabeth. Hi guys, I'm having trouble turning down food that I know I shouldn't be eating from other people. How do you do that? I want to be sticking to a whole foods plant-based diet, not a junky processed one. I think I'm honestly addicted. Also, you guys seem extremely happy and content with life. Very broad question, but how do you stay motivated and joyful? Ever had a depressive phase of your life? What got you through it? Love your videos. Peace and love. Yeah. First question, maybe first. We have been on both sides kind of this. We have been extremely hardcore and turned down pretty much anything anyone would offer us, from tea to homemade liquors.
Or marzipan even, which is raw nuts
Yeah.
with sugar in it. Yeah,
Mhm.
turning down everything except fruit.
And it's it was okay for us then. We're two and we're okay with being weird, but most people aren't. So it's definitely understandable.
What is understandable?
That it feels difficult, having a hard time turning down food.
Yeah, but the question is she talking about she doesn't want to hurt those people, or is she talking about she wants it so much she can't turn it down?
Okay.
I don't know. Turning down food.
Probably that it's difficult to say no. I don't want to actually eat that because I want to keep.
Yeah, but for yourself, or because of those?
Because of the other people. I think.
Well, I feel like it's the other way around.
Okay.
We can tackle both real quick. When it comes to turning stuff down and making other people feel bad, that's just something you just have to sort of let go of. Really, it is not worth, because you have your own health journey that you're on, and if you constantly modify it because of other people's expectations, you're just not going to be able to stick with it. You're just going to have to accept that you are a little weird in their eyes, and just be okay with it, and just be kind of say, thanks a lot for the offer, but I'm gonna stick with my own thing. Another way to look at it would be to be more flexible at a certain time and just be like, oh, I'll have a taste, I'll have a taste just for the sake of the person. Or if they're offering tea and you usually don't drink tea, you could just go like, all right, I'll have a tea, right? And then you'll have a little bit of the tea once in a while. That's fine. If it's from the point of view that you are trying to maintain your own the alpacas are playing outside, it's distracting. If you're trying to maintain your own health and you're not able, and you feel addicted, like you said, like you can't resist when people are offering it to you, well then you have to take it back to basics in terms of like, are you calorically satisfied? Like, are you hungry when they're offering it to you? Because if you're hungry, then anything will be very appealing, right? So maybe if you know you're not going to eat somewhere, eat before you go. Make sure you're super satiated with good stuff before you go there, so that when you're there and they offer something to you, it's just like, nah, no thanks. I'm actually, I ate already or whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, if you are going to eat there, you have to bring your own food, so you have an alternative. You never want to try and just rely on willpower when you're hungry and someone's offering something to you.
Mm-hmm.
Sticking to the diet, it's just a matter of what do you want, really. You got to remember your goals, remember your why, remember why you're doing what you're doing. Try to keep that in the forefront of your mind when you're there, like remember the why. And
also have the perspective that what matters is really what you do most of the time. And I'm an extreme person, so I can definitely appreciate the kind of, I don't want a single bite of something that's slightly unhealthy for me. I can appreciate it, but practically and or realistically rather, it's not a problem to have a little bit of something unideal every now and then.
True. And rather,
so it depends on how often this happens, and yeah.
And you also got to think about how some people think that as soon as they fall off the wagon, so to speak, or do something outside of their main program, they feel like a failure, and then they go on this binge, and it just gets out of hand, and that's why they can't accept, going off at all. But I suggest looking at it less like black and white and more like just shades of gray, right?
Yeah.
Just if you're eating something that you're not normally eating, it's just that. You're just eating something you're not normally eating. And then next day or later that day, you're back to normal again. You don't have to look at it as a failure. It's a choice, an active choice. Anyway, you had some other questions in there too. Let's talk about them quickly. Sneaked in some more questions there. We are happy and content with life. Definitely, I feel very happy. How to say motivated and joyful?
You just gotta do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And avoid what you don't really want to do.
That's it. Period.
Yeah.
Like the recipe for happiness is really that. Removing the friction in your life, because happiness, I think, is your natural state as long as you're just following your heart and spending your time, meaning like spending your day doing what you're actually interested in and passionate about, and what makes you go like, oh, this is so cool, I love this. Like if you're doing that, you'll probably be happy. And if you're spending your time doing something other than that, you'll probably not be very happy. And it's really that simple. So you have to have the guts to just go for it and follow your highest excitement without fear, which is difficult. And I have definitely had a depressive phase in my life, like several times. I remember a few times, at least in my teenage years, where I was going through quite of a low spot, and I don't know what got me through. That's just life. You do get through though. You get through.
Yeah,
right?
maybe the knowledge that pretty much almost whatever happens, it always gets better. Recently I was in a really bad, terrible place, and I'm not there anymore.
Yeah,
It's
this too shall pass.
Yeah, but practically we don't have that much experience with it.
No,
so
we haven't been
maybe
deep
give
into
us
it.
Really good advice.
But I would say still though, if you get your health in check, get enough carbohydrate, get enough sleep, get exercise. Seriously, exercise is like the best antidepressant. If you get those health things in place, that's a good starting point. And then the next point would be to do what you want and not do what you don't want. But then you're gonna be like, but what if I can't do this, because what if you have to ignore those things? You have to ignore the what ifs and just do what you want anyway. Just force yourself to do what you want and forget about everything else. And don't think about consequences to a certain degree. So those two things will probably take care of it. But there are, of course, actual chemical situations in the brain that needs to be taken care of. Some people might even need medication. And that's fine too. Of course, in certain cases that might be necessary. But I think most of the depression that people are experiencing are related to those two things. And let's not forget one thing, this is important. It's totally normal and even healthy, I would say, to go up and down in mood and have small phases where you're kind of depressed. I was kind of depressed last night when I went to bed. I don't know why, but suddenly I was just depressed when I was going to bed. It happens. I mean, it's a flow. We don't want to resist it and be like, oh, it's wrong to be depressed, or it's not healthy, or something is wrong. Realize that it's actually just normal, just like day and night, and you'll get out of it.
Yeah.
Runari asks, hi, what do you think about eating cold fruit or drinking cold juice, coconut water? There is no natural refrigerator in the tropics, right? So the natural state would be to eat everything warm or in room temperature. Although this is probably true, coconut water tastes amazing when chilled.
So first off, I'm sure you know, but there's a difference between frozen and refrigerated. So I think when you freeze things, that's so-called that
like banana ice cream.
Yeah, there's issues with eating super cold things, but also it damages possibly damages some nutrients and at least the fiber and stuff.
And might also damage your bacteria in your mouth. and certainly creates a mucus response. It's very, I get a sort of like a mucusy throat after eating banana ice cream.
But in terms of just cold stuff, I would actually argue that there is kind of quite cool stuff in the tropics. If you've ever been in a jungle drinking water from a spring, for example, it can be very cold.
Yeah.
So I think we are used to it from a natural standpoint, I guess.
And we could
cold stuff.
Yeah, we can also use just our senses as our sensory system as a guide.
Yeah.
If something is comfortable in a natural state, then quite likely it's fine.
Yeah.
So, you know, like if you drink something and it's like, oh, that's cold or that's warm, probably that's not healthy, right? But if you're drinking something and it's cool and it's just, nice, you're drinking it and it feels great, then probably it is fine, right?
Yeah,
I would say that
so.
your body would probably react negatively and you would notice it if it was actually bad.
Mm-hmm.
There are, of course, people that adhere to this idea, and myself a little bit as well, that the best thing to do is to drink something that's not too cold and not too warm. So you know, around room temperature, a little colder maybe, or a little warmer maybe. But I think this is a minor little detail in terms of health overall that we probably don't have to focus too much on. But drinking hot coffee or tea, disregarding the fact that tea and coffee is unhealthy, like even just hot water, definitely probably, that's like impossible to say. Definitely and probably, those two are opposite. Probably not the best, and on the other hand, drinking super cold stuff, probably not the best. But I like drinking cold water when I come back from a hot run, for example. Cool down a little bit. Not too cold though. I don't like too cold actually, unless it's beer. It's just not the best thing to drink anyway. Good question.
Next one is from Jeremy. I think both Runar and Jeremy is level 1 patrons.
No, Runar is level 3.
Jeremy is though.
Banana level.
So hello, I think you partly answered before, so maybe you could go on in more depth. How exactly have you used drugs to grow? What kind of drugs are you thinking of using / what to avoid, and how and with who do you think you would go about it?
How would you go about it? Who would you do it with, basically, right? Great question.
So far, just cannabis, and you've been drinking alcohol, of course, which is a drug.
Yeah.
And caffeine, but these are the normal ones. But I guess.
But I would say first of all, in terms of alcohol, just to mention that I was never into getting really drunk, even back in the day. I did get drunk a bit, but I never liked that. And nowadays I drink one beer. It's just like the alcohol effect is very minor, certainly not healthy and not beneficial in any way. And I wish there was no alcohol there, but alcohol-free beer just doesn't taste as good as normal beer. But that's not the question. The question is about drugs. I guess you're talking about cannabis, mushrooms, LSD, all kinds of things. And we don't have, as Matt said, any experience with anything but cannabis, really. But we have a lot of experience with cannabis, though. We smoked a lot of it, and we have mentioned before, as you know, then that it did change our lives, you could say, and it did help us grow.
Yeah, it was an important part of both our lives at one point.
Yeah.
Especially for like cultivating very in-depth discussions about the universe, of course.
We had some long discussions. At one point I was living in London, Mats was living in Norway, and we would smoke and have Skype sessions where we would talk for hours sometimes. And of course when we met up in the summer, maybe at our cabin, we would sit out with the fire and look at the stars and smoke and just be like, well, we didn't feel like, and I don't think we were actually that sort of kind of stoner. We were more of a focused sort of discussing actual philosophical concepts quite intensely.
Well, you were.
I were, and Matt was listening.
Getting sleepy.
Matt got sleepy and I got active. That's how we are when we're smoking. I smoked once, like in last February or something, when I was on La Palma. That's the last time I smoked, and before that I think there was another year or two since I smoked. So I guess on average, maybe I smoke once a year. You haven't smoked for years.
No, it's coming up.
Yeah, it is coming up. It's not healthy for your lungs. I don't think it's even healthy for your body. But I do think it's a beneficial tool in sort of looking into yourself, introspection, and observing life and everything from a different angle, from a different perspective. It allows you to sort of look deeper, so to speak, right? And so I do think it's very beneficial, and it was very beneficial. I gained so much insights about myself, about music. Like I was able to dive deeper into the music and analyze it, and I was making music at that time when I was living in London. I feel like it was 100% positive experience in my life, except for the negative health impact, which is what prompted me to stop doing it at one point when I got into health. But apart from the health aspect, I feel like it was 100% positive. I never had a bad experience in terms of like cannabis making me a bad person, or like not focused or just motivationless or whatever. It was always good for me.
In terms of other drugs, honestly, for me there's nothing. I'm not interested at all.
And I am interested in, I guess, mushrooms and LSD. Those two things. Nothing else, I think. Although I'm always like, must be interesting to try everything in a sense too. Like if I wasn't afraid that it might be dangerous, which of course it can be, I would definitely be interested in ecstasy. I would be interested in heroin even. Like heroin must be so interesting. People take heroin and they just go like, like they melt. Like I would like to just try it once just to see what it's all about, but I'm certainly not gonna do that though, because it's just so unhealthy. But LSD and mushrooms, I feel like that's not too unhealthy from a scientific point of view.
Some people even claim that it's beneficial for your brain. Like
right.
You get a...
While you make new connections.
Yeah.
Activates different parts of your brain, maybe?
Perhaps. Some people are taking micro doses of LSD or mushrooms, I don't know, which makes them think clearer and more active and focused.
I think I will try it one day. I'm a little bit worried because I've had some heart issues that I'm worried that might be aggravated, and I'm just generally a little worried. So until I'm not worried anymore, I won't try it. But one day I might not be worried and I will try it. And if I do, I'll probably do it together with someone I really trust. Probably together. Now, if you're not taking it, then I wouldn't do it with you. I think both should take it, and then there should be one person in the room probably doesn't take it, or maybe in the next room. Like ideally, I would be there with a good friend, Mads maybe, or someone else, and we would take it, just me and him or her, just 2 people, I think, maybe 3, and we would have the experience, and then maybe next door, my mom would be there, or something. Like I would do it at home with my mom in the house or something. Just that would feel safe, like in case something happens, or just another person that I trust, right? Someone else's mom or whatever, so that if something happens, they can take care of us.
Yeah.
I think that there's such a concept as a sitter, as a trip sitter or something like that. Someone who sits with you in during a trip. Yeah. Anyway, let us know what you are interested in the comments. Right, Harry. I would be interested in hearing more about the drastic diet and overall nutrition changes you made. I remember Mikael made a video discussing this, but I feel as though it didn't address certain things. For example, I remember that you were both really radical about the benefits of only eating fruit and how it was the most natural. Did you ever think back then that you would move from that stance? If you did not, then why? In addition, Mads, are you strictly vegan? I remember you saying you ate some pizzas. I'm wondering if that included cheese. This is not to be critical at all, I'm just generally interested. Been watching your videos for quite some time. I think you guys are cool. Alright, cool, good question. Well, we could answer the easy question first.
Yeah, strictly vegan, extremely strictly vegan.
Yeah.
No effort needed on that part. Not sure of what pizzas you're referring to. Well, I've eaten very few pizzas actually over the last few years. You've eaten much more. But yeah, definitely without cheese. The ones I've had is just marinara or like mixed vegetables.
Yeah.
Which can be really good as well.
Yeah. In terms of the changes we made, I'm thinking you're referring to our recent changes over the last year or two.
Yeah, that's a big topic.
Yeah, big topic. But you know, in simplicity, I would say first of all that we haven't, well, at least I haven't. We have slightly different views on things, slightly. So I'll just talk for myself. I certainly haven't changed my view really that much about what is the optimal diet. It has more to do with the fact that I'm not in the place where I can eat the optimal diet, that I'm eating the way I am now. So I'm still of the opinion that the diet should be all raw, for example. Definitely, the optimal diet is 100% raw. There's just no doubt in my head about that.
Yeah.
But I'm not able to find great fruit, so I choose to. Well, if I were to eat the fruit here, my food would just suck. I can't live with food that doesn't satisfy my taste buds. So I choose to then compromise a little bit and cook my food and eat some sort of condiments and stuff like that. And that's fine. I feel like that's not a big sacrifice at all. It's still very clean type of diet. Even if I have pizza every now and then, like a couple times a month maybe, I feel like it is not a big deal at all. Anyone who says it is a big deal is probably a religious fanatic within the raw food movement, and there's a lot of them, and I was almost part of it at one time.
Without angering people though by calling them fanatics.
No, let me clarify first.
Okay.
Oh, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna. No. Yes.
Let me clarify that. When I say that, I'm not saying because I could be looked upon as a fanatic back in the day because I was so strictly raw, 100% fruit, and very passionate about it. But there was never a kind of tension about it. I was just like naturally loving it and passionate about it. And if you're one of those people, if anyone listening is one of those people that are just strictly raw but loving it, that's not what I'm referring to when I say a religious fanatic. When I say a religious fanatic, I mean a person who is negative, a person who is sort of, it has to be like this, or you're a bad person. Because those people are just stupid. And I know that no one here on Patreon would be one of those people, because it's just, those people are the ones that are posting hateful comments on YouTube and stuff. Stupid people. We have made big changes in terms of our diet, but I guess generally speaking, more protein, a little bit more fat in the form of oil.
I'm eating some nuts.
Yeah, nuts.
Yeah.
That's really it. Mostly bananas, right?
Yeah, well, there's some supplements, definitely.
Supplements, of course. We do take a lot of supplements. We're experimenting with all kinds of supplements.
The reasoning behind supplements is simply we look at what is optimal for the human body based on science, logic, and what is should be natural available in a perfect diet, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And then seeing that what we're eating here in Norway at least is not up to par with those nutrients, and it's better to supplement with those than to necessarily eat certain foods for that specific thing. I mean, it's a big discussion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
the protein is a big thing, but it's
there's not much to say. We just think we need more protein, right?
Yeah.
We think we would get more protein in a natural environment. We think science points to the fact that we need more protein. And with the protein and with the supplements, it's very much a case of until, like, rather than just like seeing, we probably should be taking a B12 supplements and then not doing it for years and then seeing if something happens. I'd rather do it the other way around. I'll just take the B12 supplements, secure my, just be sure that I'm not doing anything dangerous. And then over the years, maybe I'll come to a conclusion that I can exclude it for some reason. And if I do, I will. But until proven guilty or whatever, I'll just do the supplementation. So great question. I think that the easy answer to your question is simply that I saw the word strictly vegan when I was going to say it, so I said strictly. It's simply we have made changes, but we haven't made that many changes in our overall philosophy of diet. And most of
this is the way it's been since we began. I mean,
yeah.
We started with all kinds of fruits and vegetables, and slowly we cut things out. Slowly we've added things. It's been evolving all the while.
Yeah.
It's just the things we've changed recently are outside the box of
raw
veganism.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. Good question.
Jenny Marie asks, for a couple of Americans who have never been to Europe, where would you recommend as a first trip? Hiking destinations are high on the list since my boyfriend Jeremy and I are both outdoor addicts and love to camp. I imagine Norway has some great opportunities for both. That said, we love cities and nightlife too. Neither of us have traveled internationally before, so we're open to all ideas. And when you guys want to visit Pacific Northwest, we got you covered. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Cool.
That's good to know. Definitely a cool idea. In terms of recommendations
For
hiking
Europe?
destinations for Europe, I mean, we've been quite a few places. Spain isn't really
They like cities as well, though. As they
Yeah.
say.
Spain isn't necessarily the best hiking area, I would think.
Well, there's some pretty damn good hiking there, actually. Up in the mountains, the Pyrenees.
Yeah.
But the first thing that comes to my mind is the Alps.
Yeah.
Switzerland, France, Italy. The Alps.
Mhm.
I mean, that is like the most epic mountains on earth,
Mhm.
quite possibly.
And probably Germany has some really good places as well. I mean, all the Germans we've met are really hiking fans, so it must be.
They do, but then again, do they have much mountains though? Just in the south with the Alps again.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think most of Germany is pretty flat.
Yeah. There's the forests
They got-
in the north.
Bavarian forests, and they
Yeah.
got forests and stuff. But I think, if you have to prioritize, you want to go to the Alps for sure,
Mhm.
Switzerland, and go up and I don't know, drink herbal tea in a mountain lodge or something like that, or maybe a beer.
But I mean, Norway. We come from Norway, so obviously we're gonna say Norway. But objectively, Norway is also very
Spectacular.
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at the video from our mother and father and us walking to Trondheim
Yeah.
on the Pilgrimsled.
Or the latest videos from the Hurtigruten cruise,
Yeah.
which is that's kind of expensive to do that, but you could go to the western Norway and look at the fjords. A lot of tourists though, so you probably want to go a little bit outside the tourist trail if you want to get the pure experience.
Yeah.
But almost anywhere you go in Norway, it's going to be spectacular to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of cities, London is almost a must.
Yeah.
But that's like a big city kind of thing, right? Paris obviously is awesome and romantic. If you're gonna have like a romantic trip, maybe you're gonna go to Paris and go to restaurants and stuff. But probably of the two, I would probably be more interested in checking out Italy, especially if you go in the summer. Checking out Italy and southern France. That's a nice place to try out good pizza, nice weather, beautiful coastal geography,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, maybe.
And Naples, of course, and Rome maybe as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure if you go to Italy, you don't really want to go there, especially not to Milan in August, because everyone leaves. There's a strange thing there where everyone leaves in August. So if you're going to Italy, probably want to go there in July. Yeah, Europe. You can take the train, right? You could start in the southern parts of France and Italy, take the train up to the Alps, walk around there a little bit, go up to Paris, go up to London, fly to Norway, and then fly home from there. Something like that, right?
Yeah, not expensive necessarily.
No.
You can sleep on the train every night and then do like a 5-day trip or something throughout all of Europe and walk around the cities and whatever between the trains.
Yeah. And let's not forget that we are, as I thought about the other day, it's strange how we consider Europe almost to be just Western Europe, where in reality there's also Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And Eastern Europe is amazing, I think. I've never been there, but I'm pretty sure like Romania, Bulgaria, Croatia, well, especially Romania has some absolutely insane nature. It's really beautiful over there, so maybe check that out. Last question from the almighty Corge. Always a good question to finish off with, probably. Hey guys, good idea to open up the Q&A for everyone. Recently I watched a video from Vegetable Please. He said something interesting about YouTubers and their hidden struggles. and how known people from the health movement, vegan or non-vegan, might tend not to share their personal issues health-wise. Maybe people tend to focus on sharing mostly only the good side of their health and keeping a low profile about some of their other issues. This led me to wonder, what about you? Have you guys some sort of struggles that you're not necessarily feeling comfortable to share with the public? Do you have some moments where your perspective on things changes, you doubt about something you're doing or eating, and you like it, and you'd like not to share with everyone? Was Casey right about you? Other sub-question, celebrity might come with a lot of pressure for some. Do you sometimes fear about it? What all the viewers think, and and are you more inspired and motivated by it?
Mm-hmm.
Last, I couldn't resist, which YouTuber would you like to meet the most? The last question for me, at this point, I think I would have to say Sage Canaday, the runner.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, I would probably say the Life Regenerator.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind meeting the Life Regenerator.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Harley Duran Rider will also be interesting, but I mean, we have met him.
We sort of met him. We looked out and there he was.
Yeah, I mean,
Remember?
we haven't talked to him.
Yeah, we talked to him. All in talked to him. We were sort of standing in a group around him like fans. It was funny. Good, very good question.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it is very true what you're saying.
Yeah.
People only share the good sides, and kind of perpetuating this idea that just do this and everything will be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not like that.
I think the reason though is very simple. At least for us, the YouTube channel is not actually a vlog. It's not a. There's a hair flying around in front of me. It's not a vlog where we actually put our personal life out on the internet and just try to reflect as accurately as possible our lives. That's not what we're doing. We are actively perpetuating certain concepts and certain ideas and certain a certain diet that we consider, that we feel pretty sure about and we want to promote. Yeah. That's what we're doing, right? But behind that, and this has been like this all the while throughout our whole journey, there's always been a lot of doubt, of course. I mean, when we first started the raw vegan diet, I had a lot of doubt. But then at a certain point, I started feeling comfortable about it, confident, and I some of the doubt went away, and we started making videos and promoting what we felt confident about. Mm-hmm. While at the same time, we might start diving into some other area, and like Matt said earlier, there's been changes going on all the time. So at any given time, we might have adopted a new practice, or like for example right now, we are eating sauerkraut, right? We made sauerkraut and we are sort of delving a little bit into that idea of eating fermented foods. We're playing with that idea, we're researching it a little bit, we're trying it a little bit. We're not gonna just like throw out lots of videos on fermented foods before we have any experience on it. Yeah. So the videos are always sort of lagging behind a little bit because we're always sorting through new stuff in our lives, and then eventually we might share some of that. Yeah. In terms of health struggles, there's always been some health struggles, and sometimes there's not much, other times there's more. For example, we both have had iron deficiencies over the last 2 years. We haven't noticed much of effects of it though, but the blood work has shown that we had low iron stores, ferritin, and low serum iron. Yeah. And that was something we were like observing over time, and we have all our blood work from the last 5 years, and we've seen a downward trend. And that's just been like, well, why is that? You know, maybe we have some parasites, I don't know, maybe we have some absorption issues. Maybe it's not enough iron in the food we're eating because it's poor quality food. Maybe it's actually not enough in a high quality fruit-based diet even, and we would have to eat termites, for example, to get enough iron. Who knows? All of these questions are constantly flowing around in our heads, and we're not sure. We have a lot of doubt.
Yeah, it's endless.
Yeah, anyone who makes videos to say that they are absolutely confident in something, that's not true. Like everyone has doubts, and if you don't have doubts, you're a blind person, right? Because doubts is actually just like a sign of curiosity and intelligence, I think, because there's always things we don't know and things we're trying to figure out.
I personally have some health issues unrelated to diet, that are pretty big, kind of, but I'm not sharing those yet or actively. So I think it's probably true for a lot of people. People struggle with a lot more than what they're making videos about.
Yeah, definitely. But that being said, though, it's not like we are pretending that what we're promoting is working and behind the scenes it's really not. It's not like that. It's more like we are very healthy. I mean, we are having great success with this diet. We have for a lot of years now.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a few minor things there and there that we are tweaking and observing over time. And we are still happy and performing well and feeling good.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like, we're feeling good, but our iron seems a bit low. Maybe we should try eating some food with more iron, see if it goes up. And then maybe if that doesn't happen, okay, we'll try a supplement. And it's sort of a journey, right? So, and I feel like if we share that, and I think Vegetable Police, for example, he has a tendency to share what he's doing very quickly. Like he'll start doing the carnivore diet, and then after like 2 months or something, like a month ago or something, he made a video which was like long-term benefits or how to succeed long-term with the carnivore diet or something like that. And it's kind of like, well, maybe you should wait until you've done it long-term until you actually make that video. Not criticizing him really, because I love his videos. It's always very funny and he seems intelligent too. But I think we are very reluctant to start sharing things before we sort of feel like we've figured it out.
Yeah.
And one thing I've certainly figured out, and that is that, you know, humans thrive on fruit. So I promote that. And that's just one little detail of the many things that we do promote. But as soon as we learn more about the iron situation, we'll start sharing about that, etc. So I hope that sort of helps clear that up. It was a really good question. And I think, generally speaking, it's just about sharing what you're passionate about and what you feel confident about. But it's not necessarily about sharing everything about yourself, unless that's what your channel is about, right?
Yeah.
And the last question is that celebrity comes with a lot of pressure. And I do feel, there is pressure. I do always sometimes worry about what people might think about something or some video, and I look in the comments and I'm like, oh, the haters, oh, it's uncomfortable to see all the hate.
It is difficult, like the dogma when going outside the box, as I was talking about earlier. You know that a lot of people are going to go like, this is bad, guys. You're going crazy now. You'll be eating meat next week. It is difficult to get all these comments, so it's best not to even look at comments sometimes.
Yeah.
And,
but that being said, and we don't take it in that much actually, because we are very confident in what we're doing. Yeah. And most of all, for me, when I see a comment like that, it's not that I'm actually thinking, maybe there's something to it. It's more that I'm actually just like, oh, what a fucking stupid person. Like I get annoyed at all these like ridiculous comments sometimes, and that emotional response, that's the problem. Yeah. Not so much that I'm like, oh, maybe they're right, oh my god, am I doing something wrong? I feel confident in what I'm doing, and I'm constantly evolving, so it's all good. Great questions this month.
Yeah, good to have some of you other guys with us.
Some of the trusty bananas.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna go out for a walk with my mother.
Oh, cool.
And hopefully enjoy the sun while it lasts.
And I'm going to do a group run with a group today. One of the people in the group that's going to go on with the one of the people that I'm going to run with today is actually one of my childhood friends that I went to school with. Actually, it's a girl I was in love with her all through elementary school. I never told her though, and now I haven't seen her in many years, and we were good friends at one point, and now today she's joining the run, so that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna catch up with her and a couple of other people, and it's a beautiful day, and my throat is now sore from all the talking.
Good.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Yes. Keep supporting us on Patreon if that's what you want to do. We certainly appreciate it, having you with us here, communicating with you like this in sort of closed inner circle family type way. It's really, really great. And yeah. Thanks.
Good. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.